My Bank and I.
Welcome back. Well, the All Progressives Congress has held its primaries leading up to the emergence of a speaker in the House National Assembly. We're now going over to our Abuja studios where we'll be taking the other camp of Aminu Dogara, Abdul Mumin Jibrin. He is also of the APC in Kano State. Good evening and thanks for joining us on the News at 10.
Good evening, Suleiman.
Well, certainly your camp is not in concert with this, in consonance with this particular election. They say, well, they were taken unawares.
Absolutely. Suleiman, very quickly, this morning, as you know, we were invited to a meeting, and the impression we were given is that the meeting was sort of a meeting by the leadership of the party to bless the aspirants, to give us some words of encouragement before the elections on Tuesday. Surprisingly, we started noticing a lot of things that made us very uncomfortable. And we had no doubt that we've been ambushed because it looked very obvious that supporters of the other aspirants were already informed that there's going to be an election this morning at the meeting. Now, when the chairman arrived, he made an opening statement. After that, he now dropped the information that we are going to have an election instantly. There was no any advert. You don't organize election without informing people that an election will be held. You didn't give us the rules of the election. Issues like the agents, issues like is it going to be an open ballot, closed ballot, a lot of things were not discussed. He just stood up and he said there's going to be an election. And we sat down with our supporters, our colleagues supporting Dogara, and we came up with 4 issues. And very quickly, we told the national chairman. We reminded him of the statement made by the president 2 weeks ago. And Suleiman, if I would just take a second, the president said, it does not matter who the person is or where he or she comes from. There is due process for election of leaders of National Assembly, and I will not interfere in that process. Nigeria has indeed entered a new dispensation. My administration does not intend to repeat the same mistake made by previous government. And we asked the national chairman, it is either he disagrees with the statement of the president or he does not agree that the president is the leader of the party. Secondly, we drew the attention of the chairman to the fact that the 2 aspirants are of the APC. So on Tuesday, whoever emerged as speaker is a member of the APC. So why the haste? Why the rush? Why trying to manipulate the process? And thirdly, we complained seriously about the fact that the process is not free and fair, and we were unprepared. And the constitution of the APC does not provide a provision for primaries for speakership. The constitution of the country does not provide provisions for primaries for speakership. We told the chairman. And there were a lot of discussions. He consulted a lot, and we thought he is going to do the right thing. Suddenly, he came up again and said the election is going to go ahead. We have no any choice. We do not intend to disrespect our party. But at that point, we had to walk out of the meeting. And I have to now...
Before the walkout, did your candidate or the Aminu Dogara, did he take part in the election?
Nobody took part in that election. None of us took part in that election, and we are all shocked and very surprised when we saw numbers being bandied around that that is the score of Dogara. We walked out, and you can imagine, and this is very clear that it is stage managed. Somebody was planted there, and he nominated Dogara at that meeting, and I think this is very embarrassing. This is very shameful. We are talking about a change, just only 2 weeks, and we are seeing this. Suleiman, even at the height of the impunity of PDP, I've not seen this kind of intimidation and allegation of inducement here and there. It is not 150 members that will elect a speaker. It is 360 members that will elect a speaker. We are worried about the stability of the House. The stability of the House is very important. When you impose a speaker on members, if you impose a speaker on members, believe me, that speaker will not last. We're trying to help the system. We're trying to help the party. We're trying to support and help the president so that we can have a very stable house. And unfortunately, the leadership of the APC is trying to lead us astray.
You truly think this is an imposition on the House?
Well, this is an imposition, and in fact, it is beyond an imposition. I've said it very clearly. It's an ambush, and of course, you listen to what the National Publicity Secretary of the party said. He admitted very clearly that they never actually informed anyone. How could you organize an election without notice? So this is really, really surprising. And everything that happened thereafter, I think at this point, the president needs to intervene and call the party to order.
Did you at any point in time had an inkling as to what the meeting was about?
Well, nobody informed us. What we thought was that the national chairman, as usual, is coming to interact with us, remind us to play fair, and also to continue to promote the unity and cooperation amongst ourselves. So that was the impression that we went to the meeting with. And surprisingly, we got there. We saw supporters of Honorable Femi dancing, a lot of bands, badges, campaign badges everywhere. And even when the national chairman walked into the hall, he was talking about the campaign. Okay, it's campaign, it's over now, so let's get down to business. And at that point, we were all shocked. That why is the national chairman talking about campaign? Is he aware that something like this is going on there? So, and we're not aware of anything. We just went there casually. We weren't prepared. At some point, we said, okay, fine, let's get a middle ground. If truly you want to do this, give us 24 hours. Let's go and get ourselves prepared. He said no. Initially, he accepted. Later on, after consultation, the national deputy chairman, Not, came up, and in fact, we were surprised how he spoke to us. He said, whether we like it or not, the election is going to go ahead. And in fact, at some point, we're being told that if we want, we can walk out. And the immediate past speaker of Kwara State House of Assembly stood up and reminded the House that we actually walked out of a party to get into the APC. And if we push to the wall, we will repeat what we did in the past. So we should not just think that we're already there. We're in a very critical stage. We must respect ourselves. We must respect procedure. We must respect the constitution of our country. The election of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, our position, we made it very clear to the national chairman. We told him that we will not participate in that election.
We'd like to thank you very much, Abdulmumin Jibrin of the APC, also in Kano State, for speaking with us on the News at 10. Well, to other news, the president says that he and his vice, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, will declare their assets publicly, as promised, during their campaigns after the Code of Conduct Bureau has completed the verification of their declared assets. President Muhammadu Buhari says that he hopes that the verification would be concluded within the first 100 days of the administration, during which they promised that their assets will be declared publicly. A statement issued by President Buhari's Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Mr. Garba Shehu, says that the clarification is also a result of the need to clarify some allegations that the President and the Vice President may not, after all, declare their assets publicly. The President's spokesman goes on to describe the concern raised by members of the public as a little precipitate. Now, Mr. Shehu goes on to say that the President and the Vice President remain committed to their electoral promise of declaring their assets publicly within the first 100 days of the administration. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari will leave Nigeria tomorrow morning for Germany. The President will be traveling to Germany to attend the G7 summit that is scheduled to take place in Bavaria from June 7th to 8th. The invitation to the summit was extended to President Buhari by German Chancellor Angela Merkel before he was inaugurated as president on May the 29th. The presidency says that the invitation is a clear indication of the international community's willingness to cooperate with the new government of Nigeria. The new government, the president did say he will, however, not be participating in the main meetings since Nigeria is not a member of the G7 group. Now, the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, now has a new national leader. Dr. Victor Ikeoye emerged the new national chairman of APGA, with the former Minister of Information, Labaran Maku, clinching the National Secretary position. This has come in 8 years after the last convention of the party. A total of 740 delegates from the 6 geopolitical zones of the country witnessed the event, laying to rest projections of disintegration of the party.
740 delegates from the north, southeast and west converge on Awka, the Anambra State capital in the southeastern part of Nigeria, for the All Progressives Grand Alliance Convention. They all go through the mandatory screening before making entry into the convention hall. This is coming 8 years after the last. The state governor and deputy's arrival perhaps hastens the kickoff of the process. Before the event starts, rumor of a court order stopping the convention filters in, but the party's legal advisor clears the air. The process begins.
National Chairman of Progressive Council.
New executives for APGA emerge. Dr. Ike Oye clinches the new national chairman, while Labaran Maku becomes the national secretary.
The success of this convention and the far-reaching decisions we have reached will therefore reverberate in every nook and cranny of our dear nation and help in no small measure in stimulating interest in many other Nigerians to join us in the mission to reposition APGA and make it the biggest political movement in Nigeria. Amen. Amen. As we settle down to the business of the day, let us bear in mind that Nigeria expects great things from us. Let us remember that we are gathered here today for the greater good of Nigeria. Let us remember that our country comes first.
APGA has been immersed in some controversies regarding party directives and decisions, and it is hoped the emergence of new executives would strengthen the party's fold.
Residents of Idimu in Alimosho local government area of Lagos State were today thrown into mourning following a fire disaster caused by an explosion from a truck carrying petroleum products. About 6 streets were affected, with over 34 houses and 70 shops destroyed by the inferno. Our correspondent Kevin Obetin reports that earlier in the week, a tanker loaded with PMS also exploded within the same Alimosho local government area.
That's the magnitude of fire from a 33,000-litre petroleum product tanker. As the dawn sets in, the extent of damage becomes obvious, heart-rending and devastating. Scores of houses and shops all gone down in ashes. Residents affected and passers-by stand in shock to watch the remains. And firemen, on the other hand, put in last effort to extinguish the fire. Spillage from a diesel-laden tanker is the cause of the fire. The driver of the tanker is said to have lost control on a slopey bend on the Pt.2 road. Authorities and eyewitnesses blame the accident on reckless driving.
One said a trailer and a truck and this tanker were competing among themselves in order to get access to the road, and this one miscalculated, hit a culvert there and lost control before it could drag itself to this place, spilling the content onto the road and the gutter.
And unfortunately, because the content were emptied into the drain, it's actually flowed from here down to Ikotun Ejibo Road. And that's 5 minutes thereafter, there was a severe fire outbreak.
It's not easy. My brother, see what people know where to go.
No, I wasn't inside.
Who is going to help us? Who is going to help us?
Those affected have different stories to tell, but more disturbing is that the incident has put many into huge debts.
It affects my shop, both two visa and wine. I borrow money for microfinance yesterday, buy markets, buy wine. Everything has burned this morning. So I prayed for government to help me because to feed my baby should help me out of it because I don't see anything bring out of it.
2 shops and a room and parlor, and what I lost over there is more than 2 million.
All this thing is not my own. I borrow Lapo money and I have not paid anything. It's 3 months to this time we start this shop. They have already pursued us before.
Moruf Jamil is a fashion designer of 10 years. He could hardly describe his loss.
This thing happened to me. I don't even understand. I'm already shocked. I don't even understand what happened. But we thank God that I'm still alive.
Governor Akinwumi Ambode and his deputy's arrival may have brought relief as a plea for calm from residents.
It's unfortunate because we are beginning to lose a lot of our assets and properties in this axis. I commiserate with all the people here. I'm appealing for them for calm. I want to plead with them that we'll do everything in our might to make sure that they go back to their normal life. But immediately the local government chairman with LASEMA and other agencies will provide relief for those who are totally discomforted right now.
This is another unfortunate incident within days in Alimosho local government area. Quite worrisome for the state governor who is barely settled into office. His words might have calmed nerves, but the need to enforce laws on roads usage, especially for heavy-duty vehicles, is definitely the next line of action. Kelvin Obetin, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka describes members of Boko Haram as enemies of sound knowledge. Join us again.